All right, Intro to Ceramics. We are going to talk about sketching and planning and what that looks like in the ceramics class, why we have to do it the way we do it, why is it important, and what the criteria is. So that's what this lesson is about today. So the first question is why? Why is sketching and planning required? Why is it important? And the following reasons are, a big part of working with clay is you have to cater to the material and what the material's, character is and how you need to take care of your art material. And so with that in mind, clay, it has a lifespan. It when you get wet clay, it's brand new and it's alive, but every single day that it's drying out, it's dying. And we know that when we get to the greenware stage, it's done. It's dead. You can't bring it back to life, and you only have so much time between wet clay and greenware stage. So with that being said, all of your ideas need to be planned prior to touching the clay. You need to know exactly what you're doing, how you're going to do it, what the steps are before you get that clay out and you start working with it. Or you're going to run out of time. If you have to figure things out after you touch the clay, the clock is ticking and you will not have enough time to do what you want to do. Also, when we are working with clay, guys, we're not just drawing something or painting something, we are actually constructing something. We are building. And when you are constructing and building, you need a building plan, not just a drawing. It's a lot like an architectural plan. If you're going to be constructing a house or a building, you need an architectural plan that not just draws out the idea, but it gives the structural plan. And that's important. And that's what we're doing. If you don't do that, then what you build could fall apart, break, crack, crumble. And so we need to look at our sketching as not just a design, but how do we construct it and construct it well. The last reason we have to sketch and plan in here is because it's how you and I communicate to each other. Your sketch tells me what you want to make and how. I cannot get in your brain. I cannot see what you see. I need to have it down on paper so that I understand what your goals are, what you want your artwork to look like, what you're trying to achieve, and then how you plan to go about doing it. When I know all of that, then I am able to help and support you. If I know what you're trying to achieve, then I can give you some suggestions. If I know what your idea for construction is, then I know how to intercept if there's a better way or a different way or an easier way, okay? But you and I need to have clear communication as well before you touch that clay. So the requirements. What is required for my sketch and my plan in order to get all of the points? First, your name. There is a top portion up here on your sketch that needs to be filled out. It asks what unit this is, and then it asks for the dimensions, okay? On the left-hand side, it asks for a step-by-step process of how you want to build your piece. You do not need to write a book, okay? But simply numbering and, numbering the steps and then quickly just telling me what you're going to do first, what will be second and third. That helps me understand that you know how to go about building it. And then if there are suggestions I have, I can give them to you. You're going to need to include measurements. That's very important. Your drawing has to be completed in color. If you forget the color, you do not get all the points and you do not get the clay to start working because you're not ready. It has to be a full vision. Okay? Your drawing also has to have arrows and explanations and annotations around it. I cannot understand just from a drawing exactly what I'm looking at. Here's a really good example. If you look at mine, okay, I have some designs here on the bottom, these black designs, and then I have some black designs here on the neck of my piece, okay? To you, they look like black and brown pattern, right? But you have no idea that actually my intention is to carve those shapes out of the clay. You can't tell that from the drawing. And so adding a little arrow that explains, oh, this design right here is actually carved, makes a whole difference as to, understanding what the finished product really looks like. You also need to include your inspiration and your research images. We do not just pick things completely out of our brain. We definitely use our creativity, we use our imagination, but we support it. We support it with either research or inspiration. So sometimes, we are inspired by things and we're going to use images of inspiration to help us create our own idea. Sometimes we need to actually research. We need to learn more about something so we can be kind of more accurate. So this sketch that I did was inspired by Grecian vases. And so I researched some of the shapes and surfaces of Grecian vases, and I kind of utilized the things that I liked the most about the form and the surface, and then I compiled my own creative decoration on my sketch. At no point can I ever see you completely duplicate an idea. If this vase down here was a big inspiration for me, and I just saw you redraw it completely and perfectly over here, what you are doing is copying. You are not using anything that is your own personal style, your own way of creating and imagining. You are just stealing, and that is absolutely not allowed in here. We must be inspired, we must do research, but when we get that inspiration and we get that knowledge, we have to transform it into our own design. I will be pushing you on that. These are your art pieces. They should represent you. They should represent the visions and the things that you see, and you cannot plagiarize and take other people's ideas for yourself. The way that the points are distributed each time we do a sketch and research plan, it is worth 20 points. 15 points is for the sketch and whether or not you, have all of the requirements for the sketch, and then 5 points is for attaching your printed images to it. What I want to make clear, everybody, is this is not a drawing class. I do not care about your drawing skill. I will not even judge your drawing skill. You are not graded on drawing skill. So please do not get all frantic and worried about how good or bad you think you draw. That is why this is a building plan, because you have a drawing, whether it's good or not doesn't matter, but what matters is all of the writing around it. That's how I understand your drawing. That's how we communicate, and that's what's valuable. I'm just giving you an opportunity to take a closer look at my example. So if you ever want to reference this when it's time to do your own sketches, you can read closer how I did my step-by-step explanation. You can see some of my notes and my annotations just to get a better idea of what I'm looking for. So I put up some other samples and want you to try to figure out what is the problem with these examples, because none of these examples got a full 20 points. A lot of them had to be returned to the student for partial credit. What is the problem here? So let's look at the first one. Okay, we do have a sketch. We do have a couple of explanations here. We do have a few steps. So what is the problem? Okay. The problem is there's no color. There's extremely vague explanation. There's just hardly any explanation about the steps. There's no dimensions. The top of the sketch paper is not even filled out, and there's no inspiration images. Let's look at the second one. I mean, this one's looking good, right? We have color. I see a lot of notes around it. The top is filled out. I see a pretty in-depth step-by-step guideline. Okay, we have great color. We have great explanation. Everything's filled out. The dimensions are included, but there were no inspiration images attached, so it did not get full credit. Okay, this one over here. Again, top is filled out. We've got pretty good notes. We've got dimensions. I've got clear step by step. What's the problem? It's missing color and it's missing inspiration images. I mean, just those two things, missing color and missing your images, that knocks it down 10 points. So you're only getting 10 out of 20 points here, 50% of your points. And the last one, I think it's obvious. All we have here is a drawing. We have no written information. So you're missing everything except the drawing. That's not okay. And in instances like this, I won't even grade it. I will just hand it back to you. Again, this is not enough information. You are not talking to me here. I still literally have no idea what you are trying to do. I don't know how you're going to build it. I don't know what method of hand building you're using. I don't know if those designs are carved or if you're using underglazes. I have no idea what your intention is here, so I cannot help you build it. A few additional things to know is I will provide you with the sketch paper that you draw on, okay? I have a place inside the classroom where I just store empty sheets of sketch paper, and that is what you will use for all of your sketches. I also have markers and colored pencils in the classroom. You are welcome to use either one or both, but really you can use any coloring material, especially at home. During our blended schedule, you will probably be completing your sketches at home. So using crayons, markers, whatever you got is just fine. The other important thing is your sketch is your direct ticket to clay. You do not get your 3 pounds of clay to start working if you do not turn in a sketch to me, okay? It is a direct ticket. So when everybody else has turned in their sketch and they're working in the studio and you have not turned your sketch in to me, you stay in the classroom and continue working on your sketch until you do. The problem with that is you are losing studio time. You are losing building time, and that's pretty hurtful. So that concludes my explanation on sketching in here. I hope that that is clear for you and thorough of my expectations. Next week, you will be getting your first sketch sheet and you will be getting to design your objects for your first unit. Take care.